Speak of the devil, thoughts on evil, the demonic, and the diabolical. What was I thinking? I think I was motivated when I crafted this notion several weeks ago of the situation in the life of our common humanity, from ISIS to all things otherwise, to our peace officers shooting our children in the streets, to angry voices screaming at one another, for the inability for the good to overcome the evil. So maybe I just start pretty simple, with definitions and reflections on so what. A pretty good working definition of evil is the opposite of good. Okay. Now we start the long trail of thought and wondering. What's good? Freedom is good if you're in the manor house, if you're the straw boss, if you're the owner. Love is good if you're loved and cherished. Hope is good if you carry it in your heart and you're able to work from it and be inspired by it. What is good? Good are those things that contribute to the health and happiness of life. Okay. What's good for you? Well, we in America have a very specialized idea that we are the light of the world, that in our Bill of Rights and in our celebration of freedom, we have somehow put together a culture and a society where individual freedom is honored and respected. And yet we imprison more people than anyone else in the industrialized, smart world. We have laws that apply unevenly. What is good? Good are those things that tend toward happiness and wholeness and health for you and I. We share it in a common community. This idea of freedom is only good as far as it goes and respects the freedom of all of us. So understanding what is good must imply that we have some kind of understanding of how we relate. How do we respect? What are the rules? What are the understandings? What's the covenants? What are the contracts we have one with another? Well, my freedom should not impinge on your freedom. That we each have an opportunity to try to express ourselves, be ourselves as fully as we can, to the point it doesn't affect the health and happiness of the whole. So what mitigates freedom? Or what mitigates the good? What is the balancing act that makes it possible for us to coexist, to create and sustain a culture, to maintain this precious life on this limited, beautiful orb in the middle of the heavens? I think it has to do with the simple idea that we have to figure out how we're going to treat one another. We're going to have to create compacts and understandings. If my freedom to believe says that every time I have a sexual congress with my wife, I make a baby and that's God's will, then I've got a problem. Because if that is applied to the whole of creation, we have a problem. Now, is that what God wants? Is that what the good wants? Does that reflect the possibility of what life could be for all of us? Do we just breed and have and consume and take all of life that we can get in 1 or 2 generations? Or do we learn how to moderate and negotiate and be one with another in a covenant with life to sustain life? Is that a value we have? Is that the good? Is that the good? Is my understanding of the good correct? Is it appropriate? That the health and the happiness and the wholeness of all of us is vital and important? Is that critical? Is that a rule to apply? Immanuel Kant said, do only those things you would want done universal. Categorical imperative, philosophy calls it. What did Jesus say? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. What did the Jewish tradition say? All of Islam has all of Islam, Judaism, and Christianity comes from a central source, and that's the creation story of the Old Testament. And what did God say to the kids in the garden, Adam and Eve, his new examples, his new story? What is that creation myth that's been handed to us? Don't you eat from that tree of good and evil. Knowledge of good and evil. Knowledge of good and evil. We ate from the tree, but I don't think we took in the knowledge of good and evil, because we're still trying to sort out what is good and what is evil. Now, tradition and history has handed us an idea that there's some element in the nature of life that personifies evil. God, the devil. The fallen angel, the king of heaven. And that antagonist, that counterbalance, is always in conflict with what the good and righteous and balanced is. Maybe evil is simply the manifestation of that which keeps life off balance and keeps life vulnerable. See, the good is life sustaining itself. Us with a balance of things going well, and we understanding and figuring out how we can cooperate one with another, how we can create schemes and ideas like the idea of representative democracy. But then we come together after so long, and we have classes, and we have the rich saying what is, and we have corporates with the same kind of power as you have. Because we in our organization patterns have set up a system by which law is determined, and sometimes the determination of law is not just. Because money is more important than people, it seems like. Profits take precedent over health and hope and the future. So we're always self-adjusting, and evil is that component in our culture that keeps the good from taking place. It is the cancer in the part of the human life, and it's the cancer in each of our lives. Now, it's not some devil out there saying, do this. The devil made me do it. No, no. It's you and I seeing that we are more important than the context of which we live. Well, that don't mean I'm supposed to love myself and put myself first and all that stuff? Yeah. Mostly. But I want you to stop at traffic signals, okay? I want you to remember to look both ways before you pull out in front of me. We have in our culture and in our society and in our world an opportunity to set up a spiritual contract, that we will be interdependent with one another. And maybe our seventh principle is the most critical one when we come to understanding this. And that is, it behooves all of us to relate to the world as if we are dependent on it, and we are interdependent with it. God says, and it is good. And humanity says, we'll see. We'll see. If in our humanity and in our hungers and in our animal beings, we decide that we are more important than life, then we have struggles. We have folks cutting off people's heads in the name of their God. We have folks destroying the patterns of history that have taught us who we are just because it looks alien to them. We're crazy people. We manifest a lot of evil for the sake of the good. So it calls on us to be discerning people, to be caring people, to look to our lives, our children's lives, and hope for them a modicum of balance and justice in life. And the only way it can happen is for us to be vigilant and be looking and expecting life to bring us some sense of understanding and hope. And we do that by every day the choices we make, of moving into it with love. I come back around to this. We've got this opportunity to engage and be a partner with good. We have these evil ideas and these evil abstractions that say, oh, no, we're separate from life. We're special. We deserve better. My role in life must be superior to you. I don't have to count on you. I don't have to look to you. I don't have to respect you. That has got to be the ultimate sin. Not that you're right, but we sit down and negotiate and understand and try to be capable of maintaining the beauty and the possibility of life together. The history of God, the history of the good, says that human beings need to be and can be in relationship to that which is most powerful and most wonderful. How do we do that? We do not do it by pushing down and demonizing one another or culture. We do it by saying, let's us together negotiate the peace, negotiate the understanding, negotiate the good that we can ascribe to our being and our becoming. And your life is important. Your children are important. And the ideas you have are important. But not to the point of hurting me. Not to the point of hurting anyone else. And when we equate recreation and when we create possibilities with God's laws, then we struggle. Then we cope. I'm not sure where I'm going right now, and I'm in a bad pit, but I just say right now, the demons of life are those things that keep us from being engaged in life, being responsible for one another. So let us find ways to love one another and express that hope with kindness and encouragement. If we do that, I think we're on the side of the angels. And I'm not worried about the devils out there. I'm worried about Doak making the wrong choice and hurting someone. And I hope that you can say that about yourself as well. So if you see the devil, you tell him that not to worry about it, because Doak don't know where he is either. I'm sort of throwing myself on the mercy of the court today. It's about love, it always is. And not the cheap kind, but the kind that stays with you. The kind that looks beyond your flaws. That says you and I are one. And the evil that comes our way and the evil that we manifest to one another can be overcome by our love. It can be directed and renewed because we know that life is the precious opportunity to be more than we thought we were, and our children can be respected and blessed because of who we are. Go now in peace.